This will be a roll call vote. The question before the House is the recommendation that the bill is inexpedient to legislate. The chair recognizes Representative Burt for a parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if I know what the fine representative from Hooksett said is true, if I also know that the $300 million that somebody spoke of is really rightfully not theirs, and if I understand and know that that is true theft, would I now press the red button so another motion may be made? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
House will be in order. Thank you, Sherm. The Committee on Transportation, to which was referred House Bill 507 FN-A, local, an act relative to registration of commercial motor vehicles and operators' driver's licenses. Having considered the same, report the same in the following resolution. Resolved that it is inexpedient to legislate. Representative Casey Connolly for the committee. The chair recognizes the member from Hooksett, Representative Marple, to speak against the recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in opposition to the committee's report on this because...
Will the member just suspend for a moment? The House will be in order. The member from Hooksett has a right to be heard. You may proceed, Representative Marple.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I don't stand here alone. There are 5 other representatives that are sitting out here now who co-sponsored this bill, and I'd like to recognize them. That's Representative Sylvia from Belknap County, Representative Burt of Hillsborough County, Representative Howard of Belknap County, Representative Aldrich of Belknap County, and Representative Como of Carroll County. So I'm not here alone on this. There are 5 other sponsors to co-sponsor this for a reason, and that is it doesn't change anything that does not already exist. The statutes are on the books. The committee was shown the Supreme Court Justice, which is William Grimes, who confirmed that the automobile is non-taxable consumer goods. That's in the statutes. Now, either you're going to obey the statutes or not, or you're not. And if you're going to offend the statutes by voting against it and voting against the confirmation from Chief Justice Grimes, this was all given. This is the 3rd attempt to get our corporate employees to obey the existing statutes and the existing Supreme Court rulings. I think it's an honor to your own honor, at the bar of your own conscience, to vote this against the committee report so that another option can be made and this bill passed. Why are you paying to a municipality? Well, it's consumer goods, which are not taxable. Confirmed. This is something that's going national now. Believe it or not, I've been on the CBS radio affiliate in Nashville, in Chattanooga, Tennessee, because Tennessee is following New Hampshire's lead. Live free or die. You should be free from paying municipal taxes on your automobile. A motor vehicle is a different animal. There's 2 of them. Horses and zebras, they're different. They're not alike. A motor vehicle is a commercial vehicle used for commercial use of the highways. Government only has jurisdiction over the commercial use of the highways, not for... in fact, there's another Supreme Court case, it's an insurance company versus Chaput, where the automobile is a personal conveyance for the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. You should not be paying a tax on what is not in the law. It's not there. If it's there, it's because of your belief system that you were brought up to think that I call it, let's call it an influence that has been created from infancy up, and you have been conditioned, like Pavlov's dog responding to salivating when the bell was ringing. No, That's what we have here. We have corporate employees that are looking for revenue. This is all about money. It's not about your freedom. I'm a life member of the VFW. Many of my comrades gave the supreme sacrifice that I'd have the liberty to speak as I am before you. So this is a freedom issue. It's all about freedom, freedom from and freedom to. I despise compelled performance when there is no authority for that compelled performance to exist. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity to present this, and I hope that the members present here will respond as the conscience dictates. Thank you very much.
The House will be in order. I thank the gentleman from Hooksett. The question before the House is the recommendation that the bill is inexpedient to legislate. The chair recognizes the member from Lebanon, Representative Sykes, to speak for the recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I just want to bring this back to a little bit of a check about what this bill actually does and put it in language that I hope is quite clear. The bill repeals the driver license requirement for non-commercial vehicles, and it also eliminates the requirement to register and inspect a vehicle. That's a huge safety issue if you think about that. In addition to that, no minor point, it will eliminate or will have a loss of nearly $300 million in state and local revenues. Think about that. Let that sink in. $300 million. So with all that in mind, I would urge you to vote to support the committee's recommendation of ITL.
The question before the House is Representative Marple. Marple has requested a roll call, and that is significantly seconded. This will be a roll call vote. Members will kindly take their seats. This will be a roll call vote. The question before the House is the recommendation that the bill is inexpedient to legislate. The chair recognizes Representative Burt for a parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if I know what the fine representative from Hooksett said is true, if I also know that the $300 million that somebody spoke of is really rightfully not theirs, and if I understand and know that that is true theft, would I now press the red button so another motion may be made? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The question before the House is the recommendation that the bill is inexpedient to legislate. The chair recognizes Representative Sykes for a parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If I know that, in fact, this bill would present safety concerns of paramount importance to the people of New Hampshire, and if I know that, in fact, $300 million plus will be lost in revenues to the cities and towns, would I now vote green and support the committee's recommendation of ITL?
This is a roll call vote. The question before the House is the recommendation that the bill is inexpedient to legislate. If you're in favor, you'll press the green button. If you're opposed, you'll press the red button. Voting stations will be open for 30 seconds.
Representative Yokela. Representative Yokela. Thumbs up or thumbs down, please. You had 30 seconds. Thank you.
Have all members present had an opportunity to vote? The House will be attentive to the state of the vote. With 262 members voting yea and 68 voting nay, the recommendation is adopted.